Hey folks, Nick here from another BookTube channel, and today I will be reviewing Yumi and the Nightmare Painter by Brandon Sanderson. This is the third of his secret project books that was part of his Kickstarter, which is not yet available to the general public, so I will be keeping this review spoiler-free in the traditional sense. I won't be talking about like the ending or giving anything away. However, I will be discussing in depth a plot synopsis, the characters, and all the usual bits that you get from a book review. Brandon Sanderson was batting 500 coming into this secret project, with Tress of the Emerald Sea being a terrific achievement and one of his best books ever, balanced out by the, in my opinion, complete misfire of the Frugal Wizard's Handbook. In the ultimate example of you're only as good as your last project, I was not looking forward to this secret project based on how disappointed I was in Frugal Wizard, and I was very concerned that the remainder of the Kickstarter books would be of the same quality. I am very, very happy to report that Yumi and the Nightmare Painter is a return to form for Sanderson, and again, maybe one of his best books ever. Let's get into it. Yumi and the Nightmare Painter is the long-awaited sequel to the 2006 film Yumi and Dupree, starring Owen Wilson. A delightful rom-com that... Oh, what's that? It's not. Yumi and the Nightmare Painter is the story of two people, Yumi and Nakaro, separated by distance but connected by a greater purpose. As a baby, Yumi was chosen to essentially be this special kind of priestess that can summon spirits from the earth who are then able to help her people in some way. The way that she attracts these spirits is through the art of stone stacking. One day, Yumi receives an unexpected message from one of these spirits, a plea for help. Nakaro comes from a place where cities are surrounded by ominous black shrouds all about their perimeter. From this shroud, walking nightmares emerge and enter the city where, if left unchecked, they gain strength and harm or even kill people. Nakaro, or Painter as he calls himself, is a nightmare painter, someone who patrols the streets at night, keeping a lookout for these rogue beasts, and if he encounters one, deals with it. The way he does that is with brush, ink, and canvas, as painting one of these nightmares and giving them form on paper is the only means of dispersing them. One night, Nakaro encounters a stable nightmare, one that has evaded capture for a long time and has grown in strength, but before he is able to report it to the proper authorities, he finds himself pulled away from his own world and body and ends up side by side with a very confused Yumi. This is going to sound a little strange, but the first quarter of this book kind of felt like Brandon Sanderson writing his own version of like an 80s teen comedy, but in a fantasy setting. Like there's a body swap aspect to the story that feels very much of that time period in movie making, but it's tailored to this fantasy world. There's even that scene that you get in rom-coms where the two leads like accidentally see each other naked, and so like they're overcompensating, like, oh god, no, I didn't see anything, but secretly like they are taking a peek, like you know, as much as they can, like under the radar. But it's all written like with a modern voice because Brandon Sanderson's writing in the 21st century, so it's not like objectifying or skeezy or anything. It's actually kind of sweet. There's even that scene you get from a lot of like 80s teen movies where the girl who has only worn dumpy clothing at this point that hides her body, like goes shopping for a dress. And then when she comes out of the dressing room, the male lead is like, whoa, you're so, you know what I mean? So it's a lot of silly fun like that. And it just works really well here. It's a really good time. After those scenes though, Yumi and the Nightmare Painter settles into its main attraction, which is the relationship between the main characters. Due to the nature of their body or world swap or whatever it is, they each find themselves performing the duties of the other, who is in an incorporeal form and cannot be seen or heard by anyone else. Yumi teaches Nakaro to stack stones, and does so the way that she was taught, with incredible strictness and a dire, serious tone. In real life, when we think of stone stacking, or at least when I do, I think of it as an art form associated with a relaxing state of Zen and meditation. And while meditation is a factor for Yumi, there is nothing Zen about the experience, and she's no longer able to see the art of it. She carries an enormous weight on her shoulders because if her stone stacking is not sufficient, she won't attract any spirits, which means that she won't be able to help anybody. She's spent her life entirely cut off from all personal choice and pleasures and has only ever known the stress of her role. And it's not until she meets Nikaro that she starts to feel that she may be missing something vital in her life. The nature and purpose of art is a theme throughout the story. I find it really coincidental that this book is coming out right as the AI art boom is hitting, because I think it has some really poignant things to say about it. I won't give any context to avoid spoilers, but at one point, Nikaro tells Yumi, art is about intent. A rainbow isn't art, beautiful though it might be. Art is about creation, human creation. It's a great sentiment and something we should keep in mind before we run to AI for our artistic needs. Yumi's character is literally great at balancing things, so it's no surprise that she is also able to bring balance to Nikaro's life. He is a loner, mostly by choice, with no other friends other than a noodle restaurant owner who may not actually even be human. His paintings are uninspired and repetitive as he has lost that passion for creation. Despite each of them having their own shortcomings, they are able to use their strengths to build up the other. That's what makes Yumi and the Nightmare Painter the best love story that Sanderson has ever told. Romance is not uncommon in Sanderson books, and generally I do like the romances he includes as subplots. Wax and Steris, or Eowlin and Shallan, are examples of love stories that I really enjoy, though I do think the strength of them is heavily tied to the fact that I just love those characters individually, and so I love to see them together as well. But the bond between Yumi and Nikaro is given so much weight throughout the book that at one point I actually had to change my mindset from expecting a fantasy adventure to enjoying a fantasy romance. The way that they build each other up, acknowledge each other's faults, accept them, and continue to work to strengthen their bond is beautiful and exactly the type of romance that I'm interested in seeing, because that is what love is. Between this book and Tress, we also have to officially retire the idea that Sanderson is not good with prose. There is a lot of beauty in the writing here, and it does pack an emotional punch. For the first time ever, Brandon Sanderson brought tears to my eyes, specifically with the closing paragraphs of this book. Are there still big chunks of exposition dumping? You betcha. Do I have a problem with that? Absolutely not. If I had to nitpick, I would say that this book maybe could have been a little bit shorter, as I do think the middle portion bordered on repetitive, and it lacked a certain urgency that was needed to push the pacing up a little bit. And while I do like the idea of using stone stacking as part of magic, I do also think that this is one of Sanderson's weaker magic systems in general. Other than that, though, I really can't find much fault in this book. A quick note about the Cosmere. This is a Cosmere book, and just like Tress, it is narrated by Hoyd, who does have a small role in the proceedings. There is also at least one character that I clocked for being from the Stormlight archive, so keep an eye out for that. There are also various references in Hoyd's narration to other Cosmere works, but I do not think you need to be caught up on the Cosmere to appreciate this book. If you read this as a standalone, you should be fine, albeit maybe a little bit annoyed at some of the inside jokes. I loved this book, and while I think Tress is a better end-to-end experience, I anticipate this being amongst my top books at the end of this year. My arbitrary and subjective grade for Yumi and the Nightmare Painter by Brandon Sanderson is 9 out of 10, Do with that what you will. Let me know your thoughts about this book in the comments below. Did it meet your standards? Did you like it more than Frugal Wizard? Did you like it more than Tress? Please let me know. Let's talk about it. Thank you for spending some time with me today, but now it's time to get back to reading.